Okay, so we're on to our final 3 field trips. So today we've got Lauri Shaffer doing the birding by ear field trip, and we've got a special treat for you at the end. Next Wednesday, Karen Campbell from Lehigh Valley Audubon Society. She'll be joining us to do, and I love saying this phrase, butterflying for birders. We make up our own verbs around here. And finally, on the 24th, we've got a special treat with Brian Wargo from Allegheny Plateau Audubon Society. He'll be doing a virtual field trip on the Allegheny Front Hawk Watch. So stay tuned for those. If you're interested in registering for any of the events, and I appear to be stuck, there we go. You can see the whole schedule of what's still available at pa.audubon.org/events. Link is right on your screen. If you missed any or would like to share any, the link right below that is also on our website and has recordings of all of the field trips that have taken place so far. The recording from today should be up within a day or so, so you'll be able to see that and share it in a couple of days. And if you have any questions or have any trouble finding it, don't hesitate to ask. A couple of the usual reminders for today. Uh-oh, wrong way. We've got microphones that have all been muted. Lauri's got a great presentation today, so we want to make sure she doesn't have too much competition in the background. The chat box is a great way to ask questions. I'll be monitoring that throughout, so if you think of something during the chat or during the presentation, feel free to put it in the chat box. We may answer it right away, or I may hold it till the end, but don't hesitate to ask. If you're having any issues with your internet, if you turn off your camera at the toolbar, that'll save you a little bit of bandwidth and hopefully make it a little smoother for you. At the end today, I'm so excited to tell you this. We'll have the normal Q&A at the end, but we also have Lauri, our resident expert today, joined by Keith Russell from Audubon, Pennsylvania, and Katie Laux from Audubon, Pennsylvania. Keith is an ornithologist, and Katie is a wildlife ecologist, and they are just two of my favorite people to learn things from. So all 3 of them, Lauri, Keith, and Katie, will be joining us for a test your brand new skills or your souped up skills with 6 live sort of birding by ear options at the end. So stay tuned at the end if you can stick around for a little while. If not, you can do it on the recording later. So with that, I am going to stop sharing and hand it over to the queen of technology for today, Ms. Lauri Shaffer from Seven Mountains Audubon Society.
Oh, I've never been called the queen of technology before. Okay, let's see if I can get the right screen here. Okay, I don't see the green box. Am I going to have to do that over again? Can you see it, Kelly?
I can't see yours, but it'll either be up at the top or the bottom on your toolbar, and you might have to hover over it to get the green box.
Oh, boy.
Deep breath, no panicking on Zoom.
Share screen. Let's start with
Share
that.
screen, you got it.
Okay. All right, advanced. So I had to do it all over again. Okay, from the beginning.
For those of you listening into Lauri's self-narration here, she is doing a couple of extra things that we actually had to learn for this presentation. So I've been called Queen of Tech.
I think I unlearned it. Let's see, here we go.
You're almost there.
Presenter view, there we go. Okay. All right, this pretty little bird is a Parula warbler, and I call him the zipper bird because he goes Z-up. And we'll learn lots of tricks for remembering the songs today. Birding's been my passion since my kids were toddlers. When I first started out, I saw an ad in the new Birdwatchers Digest magazine for a weekend workshop on birding. And I went. The leader, Gene Wilhelm, maybe some of you from Western PA know him, started us right off learning bird songs along with ID using some tips that I'll tell you about. He took us for a ride down a country road with the windows down, and he would say, let's see, Scarlet Tanager, black-throated blue, Blackburnian, and an ovenbird. I think we'll try for the Blackburnian. Wow, I wanted to be able to do that too. And now I can, just by adding a few bird songs every year to what I already know. It's so much fun. And you can do this too. So the reason I'm passionate about this, about sharing this topic is because birding by ear gives you the total experience. It gives you so much more information about the species around you, their behavior, and just plain enjoyment in birding. And on a side note, I'm equally as passionate about using hearing aids. We don't hesitate to get glasses if we can't see well. So why not take advantage of the best care for our ears? My audiologist gave me a channel for conversation, a channel for birding with surround sound for directional help, and one for muting extraneous noises in restaurants. What's not to love? Okay, more on this at the end if you're interested. But back to the program, and I'm still fussing with where to put this box. Okay.
Hey, Lauri.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think I may have forgotten to remind you about one step. Could you click your share button again? And it might be a new share. We have to make sure that your audio is set for everybody else.
New share. Share.
The green share screen button.
You are screen sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So does everybody have it now?
No. So can you end your share? Stop your share?
Okay.
Now share again.
Okay, I did.
That was very fast. Do you remember the box at the bottom that said share computer audio?
Okay. Let's see. So do I stop share to get to that?
Yep, stop your share.
Okay.
When you click share screen, before you click share on the second step, at the very bottom, click the box that says share computer audio.
I don't see that. I see share screen, but I don't see share computer audio.
You have to click on the green share screen first.
Okay.
And then on the bottom left corner, you should see share computer audio.
Share computer sound.
Yep, you got it.
Optimize
Don't do
video
that.
clip.
Don't worry about that. Now click
Okay.
share.
Oh boy. Okay, can you see it?
Not yet.
Oh.
There you go. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. We can see you. We should be good to go.
Okay, and I have something that says your internet connection is unstable. So, and I lost you before we started, so we switched to my cell phone hotspot. So hopefully this will work. The weather is not cooperating, but okay. Well, birding by ear. Let's take a and see how many bird songs you can recognize. There's just 3 here. And that's okay. You probably guessed what that is. I bet a lot of you know that. Whoa, he's loud. And this last one. We have all 3 of these species in our yard. Maybe you do too. So the point is you probably know more than you realize. The first one was mourning dove. The second was Caroline Wren, and the third was wild turkey. So why do birds? Kelly, are you talking to me?
I am not.
Okay, I hear people talking, and I don't see your face anymore.
You just
all right. So why do
keep right on going. You're doing fine.
Okay. So why do birds sing? The first thing is they want to attract a mate. They say, "Here I am, ladies. I'm available." And to announce territory. "Stay away, guys. I've got this." We live in the woods, and this summer a Scarlet Tanager has taken up residence. And I've never seen him, but I know by his song that he's there. He'll sing in front of the house and then move to the side and then all around announcing his territory. And sometimes I hear counters singing. 2 males at the adjoining edge of their territories answering each other's songs. So this is a big reason why the birds sing. They're defending their territory. A third reason is to sound the alarm when there's danger and to stay in contact with the flock, and also pair bonding. These last 3 are more with calls than songs. And the Peterson Field Guide to Bird Songs gives a definition of a song as consistently repeated sounds which form a pattern. It's more musical than a call, given on nesting territory. And what's a call? It's short sounds lacking a pattern, given as a warning for pair bonding contact with the flock. So why learn bird songs? You want to increase your knowledge of birds and your enjoyment of them, and to help with ID when there's poor light or dense foliage. So getting started, observe the birds you already know while they are singing. There's a component to learning the bird songs. If you can see them while you're listening, it will make more of an impression on your brain. And you can use a notebook to take notes describing the song. What does a song sound like to you? Start with the birds in your own backyard or your own patch where you bird most often. There are different ways to describe the sounds you're hearing. This beautiful old book shows 2 of them. You can see how the notations for the whippoorwill, which is a very simple song, with a series of dashes, makes sense at the top. Whippoorwill, whippoorwill, whippoorwill. And I used to do that in my notebook. It just made sense to me. But if you can read music, you can see how beautifully this easy song is transcribed. Whippoorwill, whippoorwill. I love how they even have a key signature and the bass chords, which is really cute. But Most of us can't read music like that. And it only takes you so far. So here's the bobolink, and here's how they transcribed it. It's just a jumble of notes. So let's go on and see some new methods. The emphasis these days is on learning sonograms. Even the old Golden Guide included them in the margin, but most of us didn't know how to read them. This partial page was taken from the Warbler Guide. Another author, Nathan Peplow, recently published the Peterson Field Guide to Bird Songs, and he is absolutely fascinating to listen to. Sonograms let you see or visualize the bird song, and with practice, this is a very useful skill. Today, however, we'll just concentrate on learning by repetitive listening. So learning strategy number 1 is birds that say their own name. There are a few birds besides the bobwhite and the whippoorwill, which I rarely hear around here, that say their own names, and the chickadee is one of them. So this is actually his alarm call. And the interesting thing is the more DDs there are, the more alarmed he is. So listen to the song now. And I'm wondering how you would describe it. Is it clear or buzzy? I would call that clear. Can you imitate it by whistling? The eastern phoebe is a fairly common backyard bird. In fact, it nests under our deck every year. It says the same thing as the chickadee. See, phoebe, phoebe, but sounds very different. How would you describe it? It's kind of buzzy or strident. The wood pewee is heard more than seen and looks a lot like the phoebe. If you're in the woods in the summer, you may hear him. I love that peer at the end. So he says his own name too, Pee-wee. Killdeer doesn't need any explanation. And the blue jay, he has a lot of different calls, but it often says its own name. He also likes to imitate the red-tailed hawk or the red-shouldered hawk when coming into the bird feeder, so he can have it all to himself. And if he's upset, he'll say his name. Okay, learning strategy number 2 is using mnemonics. That's a fancy word. It just means try making up phrases that sound like the bird's song. It's a memory aid. So start in the backyard while watching a bird you know singing. Take some notes with the name of the bird and what it sounds like to you. So it may sound very different to you than to me. And some of my my things like cheer, cheer, maybe it sounds different to you, and you can write down your own. Wild turkey, that's easy, just gobble gobble. And the ring-necked pheasant, to me it sounds like honk honk. When my kids were little and we'd be playing outside, we would hear the honk honk, and so we'd go running in to the house and I would throw some corn out, and then it would come right up to the window and eat the corn. But that honk honk would let us know he was there and he was waiting for his handout. The tufted titmouse says, Peter, Peter, Peter. Whoops, I cut him off, sorry. Oh well. Mary crows and fish crows look almost identical. The fish crow is a little smaller and both can be found near water. A sure way to tell them apart is to hear them call. So the American crow says, caw, caw. He says to the fish crow, are you an American crow? And he says, uh-uh. Okay. Kelly, since I can't see you or anyone, is everything going smoothly?
Everything's going very well.
Okay, good. I will continue then. All right, the red-winged blackbird. Many times a behavior goes along with a call or the song. In this case, the male red-winged fluffs up and displays his red and yellow shoulder patches. He's announcing his territory and competing for a female. I love that. Love to see his red epaulets. And sometimes hearing a song or call can help you make a definitive ID. Let's look at some woodpeckers, starting with Downy and Hairy. They look very much the same except for size. If you compare their bills, the Hairy has a much larger bill compared to its head. It's almost as long as the head itself. So listen to the little pick that the Downy makes. And the Hairy it's a stronger and more strident peak. Now the Downy has a whinny, which is descending in tone. Hear how it goes down? The Hairy has a rattle that's all one pitch. So that's one way you can tell the difference. I hope that helps. Okay, the red-bellied woodpecker. A lot of people, when they're just starting birding, think it's a red-headed, but actually he's named for the little bit of red right here on the belly that sometimes you get to see. Chub, chub, chub. That's an easy one to remember. Now, our area in central PA, we are so lucky. We have lots of red-headed woodpeckers nesting here. And they're sort of in colonies. We'll have maybe 6 nesting in one area, and they are gorgeous, but their call is a little different. These are very aggressive birds. I've seen them even attack a pileated woodpecker, and it wasn't even nesting season. Flickers are so interesting to watch their behavior and listen to. You can hear how evenly spaced and fairly one-pitched the song is. Did you hear how evenly pitched that is? Now let's listen to the pileated. His calls are louder and tend to have more variation in pitch. This one is a juvenile which left the nest hole for the first time while we watched. Now, learning strategy number 3, you can say to yourself, it sounds like, and in this case, the belted kingfisher sounds like a machine gun rattling. Okay, doesn't sound like a song at all. Now let's look at some owls. This week, while practicing for this presentation out on the back porch in the evening, when I got to this song of the screech owl, I was answered by 2 other owls in the woods. Then when I happened to look at the nearest owl box we had put up, there was another screech owl with its head peeking out. We had no idea there was an owl nesting there. Sometimes we get very shy owls, and other times we get very curious ones that'll stay in the opening of the box all afternoon. But I had no clue that there was nesting screech owls in that box until I played the song, just getting ready for the program. He sounds like he's whinnying like a horse. Okay, the great horned owl, our largest owl, is a hoot owl. And he has great big ear tufts. The barred owl doesn't have any ear tufts. And it sounds like he's saying, "Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all?" Both of these large owls are very easy to imitate, and the owls don't mind if you're pretty bad at it. So if you go outside some evening and you hear them calling, you can just cup your hands around your mouth and try it yourself. And they will often come in for you. They'll come in silently, and if you're just quiet for a while and you don't see them, they'll wonder, where did that owl go? And they'll start calling again. So have your flashlight ready, and you might get to see one. Some people hear the mourning dove early in the day and they think it's an owl. The eastern towhee is one of my absolute favorites. We have one that hangs out in the garden and is quite tame and seems to enjoy our presence when we're working out there. But he says, drink your tea. When he does his alarm call, all birds take notice. That's his alarm call. So we have two wrens which love to nest near houses. They're quite the characters and will explore all your nooks and crannies, your garage, your hanging baskets, your clothespin bag, looking for a place to nest. How would you describe his song? Clear or buzzy? Repetitive or no pattern at all? He has a pretty clear call and very repetitive. Usually it's 3 notes and ringingly loud for such a tiny little bird. The house wren sounds entirely different. How would you describe this bird's song? It's more of a jumbled, complex chatter compared to the simple, repetitive 3-note song of the Carolina wren. The white-breasted nuthatch, you could describe his call as rather nasal. And the red-breasted nuthatch, which we had a lot of last year, this year I haven't seen even one, although they do nest nearby, toots like a tin horn. He just goes on and on and on. He's rather nasal too. Okay, let's look at 5 birds in the thrush family. Most are all beautiful singers. Okay, everybody knows the American robin song. Cheerily, cheer up. The eastern bluebird is more of a soft warble. I think he looks prettier than his song is. The wood thrush is my favorite. He sounds flute-like. We have one in our woods, and it is a young bird whose song is not, I forget the word for it. He's still learning his song, he's still practicing. So it's a little off, and it sounded strange at first, but he's getting better. I wanted to say too, did you know that birds have 2 syrinxes? We have 1 larynx, 1 voice box, but they have 2. And they can switch back and forth, like the cardinal. His song comes from both sides. The wood thrush can sing from both sides at once. very interesting. And then late in the evening, you can hear him do his bubbly call. Not flute-like anymore. So if he's alarmed or he's getting ready to go to bed, he will do that. Now the Veery, I have the Smoky Mountain story for you. We were climbing Klingman's dome and everything was socked in with fog. And this is early in my birding days. And I heard this beautiful flute-like song piping down, down, down from across the way on a nearby mountainside. I wondered for years what could have been making that eerie but beautiful sound. Finally, 10 years later, the mystery was solved when I heard it again, but saw it also. Isn't that beautiful? It's kind of eerie if you can imagine hearing that on a mountain in the Smoky Mountains with everything socked in with fog. It was kind of mystical. The hermit thrush has a reddish tail, and actually I just learned this as I was preparing for this PowerPoint. He has an intro note and then a reedy tremolo that's repeated twice. So that's how you can tell him apart from the wood thrush. That's pretty easy, right? An intro note and then a repeated phrase. The Scarlet Tanager has been described like a robin with a sore throat, which just means it's a little raspier or more strident than a robin. To me, it sounds like he's going da-dum, 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 da-dum. And he also has a call, especially when he's a little upset. It's chickbird. This next one, the rose-breasted grosbeak, is beautiful. And we still have 2 pairs coming to our feeder. He has a robin-like song also, and a metallic chink for his call. I was told way back when that it was like when you watch those old cartoons and they're trying to tune in the old time radio. It sounds sort of like that, which I agree. Red-eyed vireo. Very common bird. Here I am, over here, usually 3 notes. And the blue-headed vireo, they like deep woods. Their song is slower and usually 2-parted rather than 3. warbling vireo has been described, and to me it doesn't sound like this. When I see you, I will squeeze you. If I squeeze you, you will pop, something like that. To me, it's just a soft, wheezy warbling. You often see them near streams or thickets, and it's a bird that you don't usually observe, but if you know the song, you'll know you can look for them. The house finch, unrepeated phrases. And the purple finch, who looks like he's been dipped in raspberry juice, has a rich musical warble. The goldfinch sometimes sounds like he's saying potato chip. The indigo bunting says, fire, fire, where? One of my favorites, that was my husband's spark bird. Blue-gray gnatcatcher, tiny little thing, very active, has wheezy sneezes. And the song sparrow, it's variable, but it often starts with 2 notes. Okay, sometimes that 2-note thing at the beginning is your clue. White-throated sparrow, we had them all winter, and he has a beautiful call, or song, I should say. The chipping sparrow is more of a mechanical trill, sometimes fast and sweet, other times slower and drier. The swamp sparrow sounds similar to that mechanical trill. Now these birds, pine warbler, worm-eating warbler, and dark-eyed junco, all make similar trills. In fact, I've had a swamp sparrow, the one that was just pictured, fly in to check out the pine warbler song I was playing. And a junco came in when I played the worm-eating warbler. So I figure if the birds can be fooled by other birds' songs, then I'm not going to feel bad when I'm fooled too. But habitat helps a lot. you will find swamp sparrows in a swamp and a worm-eating warbler on steep wooded banks. So that helps you narrow it down. The Empids, flycatchers, are tough, and you almost need the voice and the habitat to ID them. They look very much the same. So let's start with the least flycatcher. It's the smallest and it has more of a prominent eye ring. And he says, Quebec. Okay. The Acadian likes maple, beech, and hemlock forests. Pizza. And willow likes willows, swampy thickets, streamside. He says Fitzview. And last, the alder flycatcher likes alder and birch thickets near water. And he says 3 beers. The great crested flycatcher is much bigger than those, and you won't confuse him with the others. He lives in our woods too, and he says, whoop. He's loud and brassy. Love his personality. Now the cuckoos, you'll usually hear it before you see one, even though they're bigger. For some reason, they're hard to spot. And they look very similar, except for the bill color, the yellow-billed and the black-billed, and the rufous on the wing of the yellow-billed, and the different sized tail patches underneath. But if you hear them sing, you might be able to tell them apart. Here's the, I'm sorry, that's the black-billed. It's soft coo-coo-coo notes on the same pitch. So yellow-billed, okay. It's also the yellow-billed. The brown thrasher is one of the 3 mimics that can mimic the sounds of other birds or noises. And the number of times the song is repeated will help you figure out what is singing in the bushes. So the brown thrasher will repeat his phrase once or twice. Listen. So most of those you're hearing twice. Now listen to the mockingbird. You will hear it more than twice. Okay, so now can you tell the difference? Just listen to the number of times it's repeated. The third mimic is the gray catbird, and he has harsh, unrepeated phrases. That was the meow. Okay, now let's look at a few warblers, just a few, and some of them are very easy to learn. In the beginning, I had posted the parula. This is a yellow warbler. He says, "Sweet, sweet, I'm so sweet." So if you learn that song, you're much more likely to spot the common yellowthroat. I call him the masked bandit. He likes to be near water and in the thickets, and he says, "Witchity, witchity, witch." The black-throated green is in the deep woods. These tiny birds are gorgeous, and these woodland birds can be found in every color. But this is an easy one to remember. Z, 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 zo, Z. The Blackburnian is a treetop bird that is so high-pitched that you may need your hearing aids to hear him. Did you hear that? The ovenbird, everyone can learn. He either says teach, 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 or teacher, teacher, teacher. He makes a nest like an oven on the floor of the forest. Now the red-tailed hawk has a raspy scream. And the red-shouldered hawk is described almost the same way, but he's more persistent. This is the only picture I took in this series out of state, I think. It was in Florida, and you can see the cypress knees, and he stole this eel from a white ibis. It was very exciting. The broad-winged hawk lives near my house, and I hear him every day. Tee-tee. The kestrel. And the peregrine. The osprey and the bald eagle, they don't sound very majestic. Here's the bald eagle. So that's the end of the birds, and I know I didn't post all of them. I left some out. Excuse me. But to sum it up, observe birds you already know while they're singing. Use a notebook to take notes describing the song and habitat. 2, go on a bird walk and learn from more experienced birders. You can learn a lot that way. And 3, listen to recordings while you look at the pictures so that your brain can sort of cement the picture with the song. Birding by Ear by Peterson is good. Bird Song Ear Training Guide by John Fife is a very simplistic but very helpful CD. And the Stokes Field Guide to Bird Songs. You can use bird apps on your phone. Audubon is free. I love iBird Pro and Sibley Birds. There's also Larkwire and Merlin, and lots of online resources. This is a big deal right now. Anything about bird song and recording bird songs. At birding festivals, there's always 1 or 2 at least workshops or birding by ear bird walks you can take advantage of, and I love doing that. So I hope you enjoyed the slideshow, and if you have any questions, we can talk about it. Thank you.
Lauri, that was fantastic.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it. I don't see you anymore. Let's see.
Okay. Can you stop your share?
Okay. There you are.
We're all still here.
Good.
I cannot believe how many birds you just fit into an hour. That's incredible.
Oh, good.
In the chat box, does anybody, before we get started with our live birding, does anybody have any questions for Lauri before we move on to the next part? And Lauri, I'll tell you that Denise made me laugh very hard. I was on mute, so you didn't hear it, but my dog perked up for the first 2, and then he was just like, nah, I'm too sleepy for this. Her cat has a full alert since the beginning.
Oh, really? That's funny. Uh-oh, I don't hear you.
Katie
Okay.
and Keith, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself, Katie and Keith. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen.
Hello.
Hi, Katie. See, we have Keith. There he is. All right, welcome, Katie. Welcome, Keith. Thank you for making the time for this today.
Well, that was really good. I learned some new tricks too. So it's neat to see how other people, can tell them apart. So, yeah.
Katie, you have to remind me, when Lauri mentioned the I think it was the common yellowthroat as the bandit bird, what was the bird that you said, the burglar bird?
Yeah, that's common yellowthroat.
Oh no, I think I might have been talking about the blue-winged warbler because it has the little mask. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we are going to start our very first poll. We're going to start with an easy one. So you should all be able to see the poll. I'm going to hit play and see first one's easy out of the gate. Okay, go ahead and put in your vote for whichever one you think that one was. I said the wrong mnemonic for this a couple weeks ago while I was hiking with a very good birder, and I accidentally said tea party, tea party, tea party, and she said, "That bird is not political, Kelly." I didn't even realize what I had done wrong until then. So tea party, everybody. All right, looks like we have 91% voting for the Carolina Red. Lauri, Keith, Katie, are they correct?
They are.
All right. So this was our votes, mostly for the Carolina Wren. I have one right outside my office window that was so loud on a Zoom call last week that it interrupted and just derailed the whole thing for about 5 minutes. Got our Carolina Wren here. Little tiny guy. All right, everybody ready for number 2? Get our bowl ready. Hold on. There we go. Now I've got it. Number 2. Now we've got 2 birds this time. One nice and loud in the forefront. One's going to be a little bit quieter in the background. Here we go. Keith, Katie, no clues yet. Okay, we'll give it 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I think we scored big on the one that was in the forefront. And play it again, and Keith and Katie, you can tell them what they're listening for. So who is our forefront bird?
The forefront one, I'm pretty sure, is a tufted titmouse. Right? The background one, I was having trouble hearing.
So yeah, we were a little. I think we agreed. We agreed that we had an Easter Phoebe in the background, and there was also a robin singing in the background, and the bird in the foreground that was really loud. I'm not absolutely sure it's a titmouse, and I think this brings up a really important issue that when we're birding, we often come across sounds that we hear that sound like something and we're not absolutely sure. And so it's good to not try to always say, I know what every bird is. I think it's always good to be able to say, I'm not absolutely sure. That could have been a titmouse, but it would be really nice to be there and actually see the bird to actually be sure. If you hear something that's a little off or maybe not familiar, it's always good to look at the bird and really get it ID'd that way.
I will say, doing surveys, one of the trickiest birds sometimes is the tufted titmouse because it makes it a lot of noises. Like, so things that I have been stumped on have been the tufted titmouse. I'll record it and send it to a friend and be like, "What is this?" They're like, they usually say, "Probably a tufted titmouse." That's not the greatest advice. You shouldn't just assume that. it does stump me sometimes.
All right, this time we have a minimum of 4 birds. Let's see what you come up with.
Oh, my screen.
Sorry, I turned it off by accident. We'll start. You get a bonus one. Okay. Play a little bit of it. Couple more seconds. Almost let you cheat there for a second by accident. Okay, so we had at least 4. So Keith, Katie, Laurie, can you tell them what they were listening for?
Well, we had a thrasher, and we had a robin. Well, we had a thrasher. We had a cardinal. I'm sorry, not a robin, a cardinal. And well, I guess there was a robin in the background. I heard a titmouse classic call in the background, in addition to the higher call that we thought might have been a titmouse. So again, we can say definitively we had a cardinal, thrasher, and robin, and a titmouse, but there's some things there that remain perhaps a little bit of a mystery.
How do you, we did this on purpose, putting more of a realistic approach to listening for birds, because there's the isolated songs that you get on good recordings, and then there's real life when you're out trying to figure it out. Do you all have any tips for when you're hearing multiple birds at once? Is there a way that your brains in a way that you could guide the rest of us?
I don't know if there's any tips. I think it's a matter of it becoming a skill, sort of learning to be able to tune out other thoughts and be able to focus on each of the things that you're hearing simultaneously. And I think our brains can do that, but it just takes a little skill and practice to be able to focus on these things. And the more songs that you're confident about, the more easily you can separate out the things that you know and then concentrate on the things that you might not know that you're hearing. But it can be a real challenge when you have 10 or 12 different songs and sounds in your ears all at the same time. But I think that's part of the fun of birding, is to have those multiple challenges and be able to try to identify all those things.
Sometimes it's really hard when you have one that's like specifically really loud, really close to you, and you have to like train yourself to block out, like, this towhee is like 5 feet away from me and so loud. I'm gonna try to block it out to hear what else I'm hearing at that same time. And I've noticed a lot working with a lot of birders too, 2 species that usually get overlooked are 2 of the most common species we hear in the summer, and that is the American robin and the American redstart. So sometimes you have to go, oh, am I just like totally forgetting to even account for those 2 birds, because I'm hearing that it doesn't even register that I'm hearing those. So At the bottom of our survey papers, they were like, did you hear American Robin? Like, double check yourself. Like, so.
Lauri, how do your ears handle all of that sound at once?
Like Katie says, sometimes I don't even hear the common ones. They're just sort of background noise that doesn't register because I'm so used to hearing them. So I try to pick out the ones that are more unusual, and I'm listening for the warblers. But I know what Katie means by, you're hearing robins and redstarts, but it's just so common it doesn't register. So I try to, as I hear them, I will say the name of the bird. And if I'm on a bird walk or with my husband, I don't know if it annoys him or not, but I'll name the bird, and that helps me and whoever really wants to learn, what's out there. As each one starts singing, I will verbalize it. So that's how I do it.
Okay, they're getting harder. Here we go. And on to our next one. Let's start that. And we have another mystery bird in this one. I also think I did not set this up for you to have two choices, so pick one and then think the other one in your mind. Five, four, three, two, one. Okay, we are in definite agreement that one of the new ones was. There we go. So in this one, we were sure about the Northern Cardinal, sure about the Carolina Wren, sure about the Eastern Phoebe. Trying to get this box out of the way for you. Big question mark. So I have a stumper bird at my house, and it could be, Keith, what did you tell me you thought it could be, the white-throated sparrow or what?
Well, did you record around the beginning of May?
This one, yes.
Okay, so it could have been still time for a white-throated sparrow singing. It could have been an aberrant tufted titmouse. I thought it could have also been an aberrant black-cap chickadee, but you have Carolina chickadees there too. So it's kind of unlikely you would have both singing at the same time. It's possible, but unlikely. So again, it would be great to be there and go back in time and look at this bird and figure out what it is. So.
Next Audubon retreat, my house.
Next Audubon retreat.
Plenty of room for 6 feet. All right, 2 more to go. Our poll ready. Okay, we think we had 4 brand new voices this time in addition to my very loud cardinal. And I know I have a lot of cardinals at my house, but there is one in particular who's a bit of a diva. He sings all the time, all day, every day. So you'll certainly hear him. Here we go. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, Katie, Lauri, I'm gonna put you on the spot for this one. First of all, I'll show you what you did tell me we heard. Take a look at them first. We're pretty sure that there were at least these 6. And then we're gonna walk back and just listen to it again. So if you guys don't mind, as you're able, I'm wondering if you can call out a little bit of guidance as we listen. Does that sound okay? Okay, here we go. That's not it at all. No, definitely not that. Here we go.
Zoe, Cardinal, Zoe, Cardinal, Cardinal,
Finch.
Can one of you talk, when we were talking about these beforehand, you had talked about the towhees with a truncated song. But it just
Yeah,
had.
he's only saying the last part of it. Sometimes he's saying the tea part. Drink your tea. So all you hear is the tea part, but that's him.
So I'll ask for all the novice birders in the room, why do they do that? The song changed.
I'm not even completely sure why some of them just didn't sing well.
A perfectly reasonable answer.
well, to me, this is To me,
Go ahead,
this is
Keith.
part of the fun of birding, and you get, it's like Wheel of Fortune. You know, you see a puzzle and you only see part of it, and you have to, your brain has to say, put it together. What is that phrase based on a couple words or a couple letters? And it's a real challenge, but it's possible. I think that's, you know, the Wheel of Fortune is birding. That's what we have to do with birding. Sometimes birds only give you part of their song, but you use the tone, the time, the season, the habitat, the pattern to put it together. And a lot of times it's possible to identify it that way.
That's awesome. I was so glad to hear that. I didn't think, I usually have tons of Eastern towhees, and I didn't think I had any until all of you said that that is them just singing a little bit differently. All right, everybody, last one of the day. Get our poll ready here. Okay, there are at least 8 plus assorted warblers. Get ready.
Hear this wheezy sneezy one.
Okay, I'll be honest, I got 2 before I sent it off to you guys. Had the benefit of getting your email before I listened again. All right, 5, 4, 3. Oh, there's a flurry of voting. 2, 1, and here's what we have. And I think I have a blue-grain gnatcatcher story if we have time. Okay, here's definitely what we think we heard. All 8 with 1 question mark. Not sure if we heard any potato chip, potato chip, potato chip. That's right, right? Thank you, Lauri. Okay, I'm gonna ask you one last time to call them out for us so we can hear the sound and the right bird at the same time. All right, here we go.
Titmouse.
Downy Woodpecker in the background.
With Rush.
The green gnatcatcher.
chickadee song.
Black-throated green.
Did you say black burning?
She said black-throated green.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There it goes.
Nice. So I've been listening for the black-throated green ever since you guys told me it was there, because that was just from last. I went out in the woods recently, so I knew what it sounded like, but this is the first time I've ever heard one here. And the blue-gray gnatcatcher, I'm pretty sure built her nest as a result of my laziness. I had some coconut fiber pots on my deck last summer that I did not put away. They're still there. And she came and visited every single day, grabbed a whole mouthful and took it off with her. Pretty cool to watch. All right, I'm gonna stop my share. Keith, Katie, Lauri, thank you for that. I don't know how many of you get to go bird walking with experts on a regular basis. I sure don't, but these guys are incredible. And they're so, if you ever get a chance, please go with people who are smarter than you. All my stuff. It is so much fun to be out and about with people who just are so gifted at hearing it, they practice it, and they're so always, and this is without exception, every person I've ever been out with is so willing to teach you something along the way. So thank you for teaching us today. Lauri, thank you for putting that presentation together and for sharing it with all of you, or with all of us, sorry. And you've gotten so many thumbs up and great job and wonderful presentation and wonderful tutorial in the chat box. Way to go.
Thank you.
And
I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Any last questions before we wrap up for the day? Anything in the chat box, or if you unmute yourself, that would be okay too. Oh, and somebody did point out that one of the recordings had a squirrel in it. You're absolutely right. There was another one that I didn't include where the squirrel just would not stop. It was constant and he was right over my head. Thank you. Let's see, wonderful presentation. Oh, Lauri, your tone was so calm and non-judgmental that I'm excited to learn more. What a nice thing to say. She especially liked that you grouped the birds with similar calls and explained how to tell them apart.
Okay, good.
And Elizabeth, I totally agree. Quite difficult with so many calling at the same time. That's why you go out with people who are smarter than you. At least that's what I do.
I appreciate that you acknowledge that nobody can truly tell the chipping sparrow, worm-eating warbler apart. There's been many arguments in the field about those two birds. Like, they can't even tell each other apart. So.
Yeah, even they can't tell, so that's okay.
All right, we're going to have 3 last words. Katie, any last words about birding by ear?
It's always fun to download an app and just challenge yourself with that, like play a game with your roommate or your husband or kids where they play it and you have to guess what it is. That's how I really like learned them all, is just making a game out of it. So.
Keith, how about you?
Well, I just think that Lauri's presentation was wonderful in capturing the basics that we use all over the world in identifying the sounds that birds make. And I'm sorry we didn't have examples from Haiti or Canada. We really concentrated on things that are here in Pennsylvania, but I think if you're in any other part of the world, you can still use all of these basics that Lauri outlined today. And, you know, it's a lot of fun identifying these birds, and it's something that all of us can do. It just takes getting out there and doing it. And I think the other thing that Lauri said too, is just so important. If you actually find the bird that you're seeing, it creates a stronger memory in your mind to keep that sound with you for years to come. So apps are great. They're a tool that helps you get to where you need to go. But when you use that app to help you to actually see the bird, it'll help you to remember it forever. So good job, Lauri.
Good job, Lauri.
Thank you.
All right, Lauri, last words to you.
Well, I think Keith said it. Get out there and do it. Yeah, you just have to add to what you know and get out in your home patch and add a couple new ones every month, and you'll learn.
Well, Lauri, I can't thank you enough. Seven Mountains Audubon Society, she is the program lead if you're looking for a field trip sometime when we're able to get out together again. In the meantime, her presentation today will be recorded and should be up on our site by sometime tomorrow. Katie and Keith, thank you so much for making time in your day to help us ringers for the day, our guest experts. And Lauri, thank you again. For the rest of you, enjoy your week. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.